Hey everyone, hope you all are well. I'm kicking things off today by priming the eye area, and to do that I'm busting out my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. I'm adding a few swipes of this across the eye area, and then I'm using a fluffy end of the double-ended brush that came with the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette just to buff this product all around the eye area, anywhere that I'll be adding shadow, and this will just make sure that our shadows go on nice and smoothly, that they blend nice and easily and last all day long too. I'm reaching for the Sample Beauty The Plush palette again. I have a few tutorials on this palette. I always bang on about how great it is, especially for the price. You've got 24 shadows in a range of finishes and tones, and the first shade I'm taking is called La Di Da. This is a gorgeous royal matte blue shadow, and I'm taking it up on the tapered fluffy end of a double-ended brush that came with the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet palette, and I'm placing this into the crease. Now, with a shadow like this, you do have to trust the process. I'll leave this clip in real time so you can see it looks disastrous when it's first applied, but it does turn out fine. So start out by picking up a small amount of shadow on your brush, and I start by placing it down on the outer third of the eye, outer third of the crease. I work my way then across the crease. So I'm using back and forward sweeping motions and circular motions, just pulling this shadow where I want it, so naturally across the crease. Once I've spread it out, I like to fade it out so it's not looking too harsh. I'm not really worried at the minute about the evenness of the shadow. I literally just want to map it out. I'm not really worried about pigmentation either, because now, as you can see, I'm going in with a second layer of it. So initially I literally just want to map out that shape just to get the shadow where I want it, and I can build from there. So when I had faded it out as best as I could in the first clip, and I've no product left on my brush, that's when I'm going back in and picking up some more shadow just to intensify things. Once I've no product left on my brush, I'll decide whether to go back in with another touch of the shade, or if I'm happy enough with the intensity in the blend, I'll move on to the next shadow. But before I do that though, I'm going to flip that brush around, because on the other side it's got a small bullet shaped brush, and this is perfect for getting right down along the lower lash line. So I'm just adding some more of that shade now, carefully coating that lash line to avoid fallout, and then lightly blending back and forth to smoke out the edges. I'm also making sure that the shadow connects up on that outer edge so that everything flows nicely together. Next then, I'm taking the shade Rare, which is a deep, almost purplish blue, and it's got a matte finish to it. I'm applying this to the eyes, starting on the outer third of the eyelid, patting down the colour with my Sigma E24 blending brush, and I'm swirling this shadow up to the crease to add a bit more depth to the look. So as we're working with vibrant, colourful shadows today, you may want to pop on a base before your shadows. I didn't have an issue with staining on my lids, but if you do, or if your eyes are a little bit more sensitive, popping down a base like the MAC Paint Pot is no harm, just to create a little bit of a barrier between your skin and the shadows. So I'm building up this shadow now in a couple of layers, like the previous shade. Once I'm happy with how that blue is popping, then I'll go and I'll move on to the lower lash line once again. So I'm going back to that brush that came with the ultraviolet palette. I'm using the bullet shaped end just to apply this down along the lower lash line, and I'm fading the shadow just about halfway across the lash line. Then I'm taking the shade Ritzy. It's a gorgeous metallic silvery blue. I've picked this up on a Blank Canvas Cosmetics flat shader brush, the E24. It's just a flat C-shaped brush, which works great for coating the lid. It fits snugly onto the lid and curves up to the crease nicely. So I'm adding this product wet to the blank portion of the eyelid. You can use your finger to really pack on the shadow if you like, whichever process suits yourself. So I'm then taking the shade Classy, which is a matte dark navy blue, and I'm using this to add the final bit of depth to the eye. I'd usually use a black, but with the colour story that we have going on here, I just think it's a bit more fitting. And I'm adding this to the outer portion of the lid with a Sedona Lace flat C-shaped brush, starting at the lash line and then sweeping it up to the crease. And you don't have to go any further than that, because we've created a nice gradient with the blue in the crease and beyond. So now I'm just sweeping a little bit into the lash bed of the lower lash line too, just on the outer edge. And I wanted to add a little bit of a pop to the waterline, so I decided to go in with this electric blue pencil from NARS. It's one of the high pigment long wear liners in the shade Ocean Drive. And then I also wanted to add a little bit of a finishing touch to around the tear duct. So I'm using a Wet n Wild bullet shaped brush and a little bit of the Too Faced Candlelight face highlighter to just add some sparkle around the tear duct of the eye. I've added the Sosu London lashes again, same as last week, and now I'm using the Urban Decay Lash Freak just to blend my own lashes in with the false ones, and then I'm going to run this through the lengths of the bottom lashes, and then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and found it helpful and easy to follow. If you did, please let me know, and I'll catch you all really soon.